Welcome back, guys. Today we are doing an Operation Siren beginner's guide. This is my most requested video. I have had tons of questions since my live stream, and I'm hopefully going to answer some of the very basic questions. If I miss anything or you have any further questions, let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them there. So after 2 full days of playing Operation Siren, I have completed the main story of Operation Siren, and I've unlocked every single port in the game. But there's a lot of extra content to do, and let's get into it. First, how do you get into it? Well, first you go to battle, then you have this new user interface, which obviously very promptly clicks Operation Siren. So it will first take you into the New York port. This is your starting position, and you'll work your way around the Atlantic Ocean. What is Operation Siren? It is an open world map where you can cruise around 72 different tiles where you can bring them up to 5 stars, and you have different ports as well as you attempt to clear all of these new materials. The new materials are going to be used in the newly added Gear Lab, which will then allow you to, by faction, search all of these new equipments, such as these new airplanes from the US faction, which are very powerful. You then use those equipments plus previous equipments to upgrade them into a new, more powerful equipment. These are very tedious to grind, and you will continue to grind them throughout. You will also be grinding towards what is called a meta ship. These are what are considered Ash faction ships, or kind of like ships that have gone bad here. Here I'm 22% of the way to getting Hero meta, and this is the only part of Operation Siren that is time limited. All other parts of Operation Siren are permanent. However, the Ash faction ships, the meta ships, will rotate. Meta Hero will be here until March 18th. We will then get a new meta ship. Here you can see 4 more new ones. We know that Ark Royal is going to be one. Highly suspect that Enterprise and Takao will be one, thanks to anime and previous lore, and we have no idea what this 5th one will be. One side note here, guys, is while you can get Hero meta pretty easily through just grinding for a week or so, getting her to max base stats is actually going to be extremely tedious. All the way up to probably 60,000 points, maybe even 70,000 points if you really care about some extra bonuses. But really, this is going to be tedious. So let's say you're all excited for this brand new game mode, and I can tell you it is a lot of fun. I've spent the last 2 days playing it, and it's pretty great. However, you want to be able to play it. So let's go over the basic user interface mechanics so you can play it. So there is the overview map, in which you basically get nothing other than looking at all of the little icons, which can amount to missions that you can do, and they all have a meaning. Your ports become colorful when they are unlocked. I think they're grayed out before then. The red ones are the Axes, and the allies are blue ports. You can use all the ports, but they each are different. The first one is obviously the blue port. So when you click in here, this is kind of like a vision map. You can't actually move on this map if it's colored. There's a different map that we'll go into, and so anywhere you click when you see this, what I'd call texture map, you can click anywhere and it will say take you to what is a locate fleet. So you can like basically say, okay, click here, locate fleet. It will take you to where your fleet currently is, and you go to return to map. Now, this is kind of the unintuitive part. So if you want to actually move your ships around, you actually have to go to any edge of the map. It doesn't really matter. And you just click anywhere, and you'll have this blue map. This is the actual map of where you can move around. And so then you click anywhere that you can move. You can pretty much move anywhere that is adjacent to something you've unlocked. The lighter blue spaces are unlocked spaces. The darker blue spaces are not unlocked. So I can move all the way over to this section over here because I have this unlocked, and I can attempt any adjacent spaces. So I can attempt this thing here. Everything costs AP points, and we'll get into that in a little bit. most of the things that you want to do are in your port cities. So when you get into your port cities, how you get into your port is you move your character into the yellow zone. They can go any place in this yellow zone here, and then you prick the enter port. Now what you can do in the enter port section is, first and foremost, missions. These only can be obtained once you finish the main story, so you will not see them if you are just starting out. But note, this is where you do find the missions when they come and arrive. We have the resupply function. This is like a little shop. Now this resets every 24 hours, and each of the ports has a different shop. So every 24 hours you have to go to every port and see it. And we'll get into all of what this means here as well. Moving on to the formation. This is basically where you have all your fleets. When you are starting off, you will have only 2 fleets, and I recommend that you have a boss fleet and a mob fleet. A mob fleet that has a healer, preferably Perseus, maybe Ryoho, or if you have to, Unicorn. You need those healers and in your mob fleet. So then when you unlock your next port, which is Liverpool, they'll transport you through the main story. You will actually be able to use 4 fleets, at which point I recommend that you break it up into your main mob clearing fleet with a healer, followed by a main battleship fleet for bosses, and then a main carrier fleet for bosses, because different ships will have buffs, and you need to have one that can take on the enemies that can debuff your shells, and you have to have one that takes on enemies that debuff your airstrikes, so you have to switch them. And then your 4th fleet should be what I call your garbage fleet, the one that you're going to throw away in certain shield missions, and also the one that gives your passive cross-fleet buffs, such as Perseus, or Tosa, or Shinano, or Casablanca. Moving to your ports doesn't cost any AP points, so feel free to move back there anytime that you are not currently locked in a mission. And then once again, I'll show you here when we go into Liverpool, we will see that we'll have different missions here in Liverpool, and then we also have different supplies here, which I've already purchased out for the day. In formation here, you can actually choose to repair your ships. These will come at a cost of your Operation Siren tokens, which are these things right here. Operation Supply coins is actually their title. And then when you do that, you can repair them and they will heal. This is one of your main ways to heal outside of Perseus or any of your healers. Now, before I go any further, we do have to explain our 3 currencies. These coins are your supply coins. You can use them at pretty much any of the shops. Once again, every port has different shops, and I can go show you all the different ports that we have now that they're all unlocked. But we start off once again in New York City, like I said, and then you get transferred over to over here in Liverpool, and then you can also unlock Gibraltar, as well as this is like Brest or something. Yeah, Brest. And this is Kiel, and over here is St. Petersburg, and we also have the Toronto, and I think finally we have Dakar, and I think that's all the ports. So you should check them every day for their different missions as well as their different shops. You can also have shops like Akashi or Siren UI, who are just kind of placed around the maps, and they will kind of periodically show up. So now we want to look at fleet details. This is showing you the details of the fleets. So once again, you get a sub-fleet and 4 main fleets from where I am currently. So one of the things that's actually important here is you can change your equipments. So if you click on and hold any of your ships in here, you will have access to your equipments. And basically, as long as they're not currently in a node, even if you're already entered a zone, if they're not currently in a battle node, you can actually swap out these equipments. And the nice part is, let's say you are like me and you only have one 457 gun, you can actually equip it and move it to any ship you want as they go into the next battle. So even if you only have one 457 and you can actually swap it over onto the next ship, or you can do that with any equipment. So that's a little hack that will allow you to progress a little bit further. Not too much more info can be done here. And one question that people continue to ask me a ton is how to actually switch up the ships. You actually have to go to this little icon here, orders, and they'll bring up this thing. So it has 4 sections here, and there's basically the fleet deployment is what you click to change up your fleets. Regroup and rest is kind of like a heal, but it can be anywhere. So there are 3 types of heals, and across all of the map, your ships will never really heal outside of these 3 methods, or if you have a healing ship skill. And that's important because really when you do missions after missions, and there's so many missions that you have to do, you will have your strong ships beaten down, and so you need to heal them. The first way to heal them outside of a skill is to buy these little potions. You can view them in storage. If you go to storage here, which will always be here, you can look at the operation material storage, you can look at your gears, you can look at your items and whatnot, which is all available to you. So there are really kind of 2 types of potions, if you want to call them. They're called emergency repairs. You can repair any ship here, and this is the first one, and then this is the triple one. One is a single ship that you can repair. The other one is up to 3 ships there. And so those are the first type. These you can collect or buy in shops. The second type is more the free type. This one actually costs your operation supply coins, and obviously you get a ton of them. I've gotten this many in just like 2 days of playing. And so if you go into any port pretty much and you go into the formation, once again we show that you can repair all of them with that operation supply coins. The third and final way, and this is the way that you can do it any moment in time, is basically do the rest and regroup. You can do this in the middle of your battles, and it costs AP points, which is important. Request Recon, you should check to see if you can do this in every map. The first thing that you want to do when you open a map is go to orders, and you want to see if you can request a recon. A lot of times this will be free. It will say 0 AP. If it doesn't say 0 AP, don't do it. Do it the hard way. And I'll actually pull into a map for you guys to see that right here. So once again, we click off the map if you want to get into the movement map. That's how we get to this blue section, and we can move to anywhere that's adjacent. So we'll move into this map. Now, one thing I want to note is each of these maps will have what is a dangerous star level, or what will be referred to in the storyline is corrosion. And basically it goes from 1 to 6, 6 being the highest and the hardest. The best way to say is when you come out into the main story here, it will tell you what your combat effectiveness is, and in this number right here it will tell you what your current operations level is, and you should basically not attempt any levels over what this tells you. The reason that is because there are basically offensive adaptability, survival adaptability, and tactical adaptability. These are basically like commander levels that you acquire by building nodes, and what they do is they decrease the enemy. The enemies are super strong in Operation Siren. Their levels don't look scary, but the bosses at least have really powerful skills that you have to be wary of. And you need to basically get these debuffs to clear some of the strongest sections. So you get these basically by moving around in different zones, and also by clearing things. So keep that in mind. While you can go to anywhere that you want, you should stick to the areas that are within your range. So once again, we can locate the fleet, return to the map, and then once you are in the map, you click off the screen, and now you're in the movement map. It's not necessarily intuitive, but yeah, definitely something that you guys should keep in mind. So if you are starting the main story, by the way, there will be this red exclamation mark that will show up on different areas, and basically just follow that. My best recommended section for all new players is to follow the red exclamation mark. If you follow it, it will take you through the story. If for some reason you can't see it, it's around somewhere, or you can look at your missions. One way to look at missions, and we will do that once we go into here. By the way, if any of you were wondering what that exclamation mark means that my missions are done, which we can then go collect for some extra bonus resources. We enter the port as always, and then we go into the missions and accept them. So here, to enter any map costs a single cost of AP. This cost goes up every time you re-enter the map, and so we enter the zone. Now the AP replenishes at 1 regeneration rate per 10 minutes. So that's basically 6 per hour, and it caps at 100. So you're going to have to be logging in every day to keep use of those AP. When you don't have AP, you can use oil or these action point boxes. You will get actually a good chunk of these action point boxes while clearing the main story. So clearing through the main story is not too hard. However, I imagine that as you start to redo content and later on, that these will not be as plentiful, but early on, to get you through the main story, you'll have enough of these AP sections. Oil you can also spend. It's 1,000 oil per 100 for the refill. You can only do it 5 times per day though, so be careful. And yeah, you can spend the oil though. So here we're gonna need extra AP points, so I'm gonna go ahead and use one of the AP points. So now we have 37 AP points, which we can spend to enter the zone. The highest I've seen to enter a normal zone is 80 for a level 6, and I've also seen 100 for some of the Siren bosses that appear. So we do enter the zone. We now have paid that cost. Now once we're in this zone, there is no effect on oil. We have to pay no oil in this zone, and we do not have any effect on the morals of our fleet. So the affinity will not go down, the moral stamina will not go down of our ships. We are free to use a single fleet as much as we want. This is super nice. However, we also aren't getting much, if any, XP. A lot of these nodes will have almost 0 XP, and so that's not that important for grinding. I wouldn't recommend you actually grinding your ships in Operation Siren because it's just not time efficient. You should use the main story to grind your lower level ships, and you should use your highest level ships in Operation Siren. There's no penalty for oil and no penalty for affinity, and I really like this component because it allows you to use your favorite ships. A lot of times in Azur lane before Operation Siren, once you got your ship to level 120, you sat them in a dock never to be used again unless you're doing challenge modes, EX modes, or exercises. This is kind of now something that you can use for a grand campaign and makes them worth leveling. So once again, when we go in here, we go to orders first, and look, our Recon request is free. Also, our Submarine support is free. So this means that we can request a Recon. It does not cost any AP. That's exactly what we want. And now we will get to see the whole map for free. This is actually considerably a small map for this section in general. This is one of the smallest maps I've seen actually. The other thing we want to do is we can equip the submarine support. It costs 0 AP, so we'll do that. So now our submarine fleet now gets to equip to all of these sections. So instead of spending oil to bring your submarines into the battle, you actually have to spend AP. However, it's free, but that's only the first time. The next time is going to be 39. They will have the same limits in terms of having ammo like they do in normal maps. However, they don't have a range. They just show up. They're attached to each of your fleets. So just notion here. Moving around is actually really easy. If you can see the zone, there is a fog of war. Once again, when we cleared off that with that Recon request, we took out the fog of war, and we can just click anywhere now basically in the map. It will auto do the movement in the shortest route. It will count turns because there will be sirens that, you know, mix with turns in certain matches, so the turns do matter, especially when you start to do puzzles later on. But basically you can just click to where you want. You can see our little radar here will help you. This radar will actually do we'll have all the battles in here, as well as these green things will be the nodes. These, by the way, are the radar indicators, key in case you need to know. And I think, oh, there, right there, as you can notice, we dropped a level. If you see these movement tiles, always go to the last one here. So always go into these currents here, and like they expect, they will move you there. And this tile typically will have an extra level. That's just something I've found over the course of playing it. Obviously, you will get those extra commander levels as you clear content as well. So we'll just move. You want to pick up everything, basically. There will be traps somewhere when you try to pick up certain things, but you pretty much want to pick up everything. You also want to clear everything in the map. So you want to make sure that you are clearing all the nodes before leaving a specific map. That will be what is called a safe mode. This is what's called a Siren boss here. And basically, these are the additional effects. These are randomized here. So actually, every area is randomized when you enter it. So when I was streaming it, a lot of people were like, oh, this is not the same as what I'm getting. That stuff is actually randomized. So we can see that their levels for the survival, offense, and combat interference are pretty low compared to what our levels were. And so this will be a pretty easy breeze. Shows you our rewards. And while they do have these nice effects, we are just so overpowered here. And once again, this fleet is meant for quick clearing so that we can clear very quickly. Once you get into the battle, there's really nothing that is any different than normal. It's the same cruising around, and it's going to be just a lot of grind here. Once again, I can call in my subs. It doesn't cost oil because we've already paid the AP points to use them, but it does cost one of my ammo for my subs. So you'll have all these drops. Obviously, we have what is Operation Coins, and then we will have these item tokens, and those are the two main currencies of Operation Siren. They buy different stuff, but and they're used in different shops, but both shops use them kind of. You'll then also get meta coordinates. You get basically 10 per battle. These add up, and once you get to 100, you can summon a hero. More on that once I actually get to a hero in today's section here. The other stuff you'll get is materials, which you can go check. These materials right here can be used for upgrading those equipments, and then of course the plates can be used for enhancing those equipments. We can now go to plus 13 instead of going to plus 10 for our gold equipments, plus 11 for our purple equipments. These shinies here, you always want to click them pretty much. Sometimes they will be an ambush. Sometimes they'll actually require you to have two ships and be on two pairs of them. But most of the time, they're just easy pickups like this. Sometimes they'll drop to the floor. Another thing that you can do is to press the scan button. This will allow you to analyze specific units. And it's not that important, but one thing it will do is sometimes there will be hidden items hidden under the sea that you cannot see in regular mode, and you'll have to turn on scanning in order to see them, and then those are important to pick up. However, you won't be able to actually leave a zone until you've cleared all the enemies or you've picked up all the stuff. So you'll know if everything's empty and you still can't leave, there's probably something hidden with that scan that you can find. See, it will tell you when if you click on information, you can actually see some of your levels here. You can see some of your zone clears. You can see your missions that you have and your story progress. Obviously, my story is completed at this point, so I don't actually have any story progress. I'm just in the open world mode. You'll note that missions you can clear really quickly. 6 seconds here for this clear. And one of the reasons why you need to have ships that can shoot really quickly is because you want to be able to clear very quickly because there are just so many nodes. We do get experience in certain aspects. Sometimes you will get 0 experience, but it's very minimal. 300 experience basically doesn't add up to anything over time. It's better than nothing, but actually in many missions you get nothing. So once you finish the mission of clearing everything out, you'll get a bonus, and it will kind of flash across your screen that you have finished the mission, and you'll get a reward. And then this little box will pop out. You should always go click it. There will be all sorts of goodies in these. The higher level missions will yield you more stuff. Once again, we get our standard stuff here. And then once you're done, you gain these stars, which are goals accomplished, and you get stars for every map. Every map, there are 72 maps, and each map can have a total of 5 stars. So if you ever want to look at where the total stars are, you can go to Exploration Progress, which is on the main map, and then it will show you each section. So you actually get rewards for each one, and so you have to scroll through and collect the ones. So I have not had all these collected. A lot of people forget to do this early on. I definitely was one of those people, and from time to time I just leave them. So you can click on all the ones that have stuff and with these little exclamation marks, and you can collect. And basically each map has 5 stars, and you get 1 from gaining control of the sector. Then you get another 1 from defeating a certain number of sections here, and then you have other missions that are like hidden here that you won't be able to know. So you kind of have to figure out how to get all 5 stars. You need to get a total of 360 stars, but really you get your first star from clearing it, and that's the first step, is making sure that you clear all the map. So another shop that we have not talked about here is the supply shop here, which means that we can buy these basically radars for sirens that summon them. You can also buy these books. These books allow you to spend double the oil for double the drops in terms of the main story. So these are kind of convenient. I don't think I need to buy them because a lot of them drop or are collectible through the main story. So later on though, we might need to actually purchase them. And also these supply shop vouchers are something that you can buy or distribute for the completion of an Operation Siren exchange. So here in port, we can use the 2 different types of currencies to buy different stuff. We've gone over already the action point getters. These are boxes that will allow you to get more action points. This is actually a good purchase for me since I'm still grinding to pick stuff up. We got heals and potions. We got these tuning samples, which allow you to gain 5 points in combat adaptability. If you want to speed rush to some of the final bosses, then you want to buy these and stuff like that. These will summon sirens. I have way too many right now, but they'll be good in the future when I need to get through it. These are kind of converting currency. This currency is more valuable and more rare, so this is actually something I'm going to do. And then in case you wanted to upgrade equipment, you need specific materials, and this will give you basically a gotcha of those materials. So like you can just buy those materials right here. So we go into storage, and let's say you want to use this tuning sample. It's just you got to use it, and then you'll get some extra bonus adaptive tuning. So that's basically how you use that. Everything else here will be used in prompting. These are kind of important for also gaining energy tuning, but those have to be used at pillars within the maps if you want to use them. If it asks you to use these energy storages to level up your commander, basically you want to do that every single time. I don't think there's any reason not to do it. Speaking of shops, we have the guild shop. This refreshes every so often. You can refresh it for guild points once during that refresh period, and you can buy it out with guild tokens. Basically the guild tokens, you typically want to buy the gear parts, the gold gear parts, blueprints. I like auxiliaries because I'm still short on them sometimes. You can also get these exclusive ships. None of them are tiered meta, but if you're going for collection or fleet tech, that can be helpful. And that's probably a pretty good segue into guilds here. I won't do a full thorough analysis on guilds, but I'll do basically the bare minimum that you guys need to know. So logistics is the new tab. Basically 3 times per day you can use resources to buy guild points. And this will rotate every time you purchase them. So one of these is merit points, so you can actually use those PvP exercises to get guild tokens. Amazing, I like it. You should buy it, then it will refresh all 3. So pick the one that you want to buy again, and then for the 3rd time you can pick whatever you want to buy for the 3rd time. So we'll exchange there. That's all we can do for the daily. And now you will also get rewards if you contribute multiple times here, so make sure you do this all the time, and then collect the rewards here, which will just give you random stuff based on how much you contribute. And this is kind of basically the drops. There is a 1% chance at gems, We'll talk really briefly about tech, but basically this is for the guild leader. They just pick expansions. The best expansion is additional dock space. You'll get extra 20 free dock space. So this is one of the reasons why I think that you should join a guild if you're not in a good one or an active one. Finally, we're moving on to operations. This is kind of complicated, but we won't go in too much. So basically, the guild leader will start a raid. You click on it and like that, and then you enter the raid. When we enter the raid, this is the progress. All of your guild can join, and we'll have an event log about what they're doing. We quick dispatch to go in, and basically there's all these details on what ships to pick, but the short end of the stick is if you click recommended, it will tell you the best ships that you can basically put in. If you want to be better, then take the 4 ships that they gave you and equip them with higher level stuff. Every 6 hours, you will then have another little plus sign come up for a maximum of 4 plus signs in a 24-hour period. It happens at midnight, 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. every day at server time, which is UTC -7. So if you want to add a fleet, and then you click on the little red dot here, and then you can click the recommended, and you dispatch the fleet. That's as easy as it is. I won't go into more details. There will be more details later, but for all we need to do today is that's all you really need to do for the guild. And basically you just sit and wait, and once enough people in your guild basically dispatch their units, you'll get to 100% and you'll get some rewards which you can collect. One of the layers that you can collect is in the action report here, so here we just collect them here. Not like anything, you have to just explore. There are so many fun things that you should explore. Obviously there's all these little new things like these currents or these ice, which just move you in the same direction as you were going for the whole time. And one of my personal favorites, which is getting to these tornado things, which get to see you have flying ship girls. Whee! Let's see, Bismarck. See if you can fly. So once you finish and click through that, then you can actually move out of the map, and you will actually getting to leave the submarine fleet will be put on standby if you leave with a submarine fleet that has ammo left. And once again, just because we're showing that, we'll do that. So if we try to return to this map, that's fine because we're already in it. But let's say we want to go to a map here, move over to that Gulf of Mexico over here, and now we need a little bit more AP here, so we can actually spend our action points with another box here and enter the zone. So we've moved it, our little fleet command carrier guy, and now we can enter the zone. So here we can move into here, and so we have this fog of war once it loads in here, and you can either walk through it, and as you can see here, the radar will actually give you a good section of what's around. So we know there's an enemy here, we've got some drops, we got some missions and things like that. Fleet deployment here, this recon costs AP, so I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use my radar and walk through it. If you really want to speed through it, you can actually just use the pawns here. The AP, sorry. So we're just moving through it. And when you're in these maps where you can't see everything, you actually have to wait until you can see stuff in order to move throughout. Fortunately, found Akashi Shop here, which means that we can actually go see her shop, and I can show you that for her, which is nice. So we're going to enter her shop, and her shop is usually pretty basic, but here's a tuning sample here, which is something that we wanted to buy, and these we can buy action point refreshes here because we'll probably need them, and all of those that are left are potions. I don't need those on the type, and we can just use that action point right, or the tuning sample right away, so we can get extra bonuses for that adaptive tuning there. A lot of times you'll run into these little traps that are abnormal weather conditions. They basically just move you into single movement for a little while. It also slows up your little animation, and it's annoying, but it's only for a little bit. If you just move around long enough, you'll get your movement back. and whatnot. So we'll go collect this. Basically anything with a yellow around it, you probably want to click into it, or a question mark on your radar. It'll basically tell you. And this is asking if we want to use the ESD. Yes, we always want to use the ESD, which is an energy storage. And so it will eat one of those. We are going to use it, and that will give us the data. So moving on, we have this cat paw. These will be random in the map. These are super important. Basically, you always want to go to them, and it will basically take all of your Meowfficers and put them in here. Higher level Meowfficers do a little extra, and it will show this little searching here. And basically, now I lose all of my cat buffs, and these cats are going to be going and searching materials. However, I only lose them for a little bit, and that's turns. So let's say you really want your cat buffs for something and you need to put them in. All you got to do is move your fleet over and over again until they do it. You don't actually have to go into battles. It counts by the movements. So if you move them enough, you're going to get your Meowfficers to finish. Now my Meowfficers did, and they gave me a bunch of resources. These resources are great. So now I have my cats to use all my skills again. Unfortunately for this specific map, more Siren boss nodes appear as I move around, which, as you can see, makes it pretty extensive in how many I need to kill. These little red sparkly things are mostly traps. I just landed on one, and it will take you into a battle. So just note those are traps, basically. But you do have to clear them if you want to safe mode the whole map. So these towers that you usually want to go into will clear things and make your life easier, especially with fog early on in the main story. There's a lot of fog. You can move through fog, but it will black out all of your screens so you can't see anything, and it will force you to move at one space at a time. And if you find these weather things, it will basically clear out the section if we destroy the devices. So you can see the fog here is probably going to clear out. We also get some extra adaptability training, which is pretty nice. So this is a perfect example where these two sections, sparklies, need two fleets, so we can just switch to a fleet. One way you can switch to a fleet is just by clicking the fleet number, but if you don't remember the fleet that you want, all you got to do is actually click on the fleet and it will switch over to them. And then once again, as long as it has the path, it doesn't matter how many turns that you take, you can just click on it. If it gets stopped by TB or something like that, who is the assistant that you keep seeing pop up here, then it will not work. See, now that we detect, now we can actually clear this little section here, which actually spawned two bosses, so not necessarily a great section. So at a certain point in the battle, you will get enough what are called ash coordinates, and when you do, then you can summon a hero raid. You get these just by playing. If you play, you will get to 100, and it will tell you, and then you can summon a hero. Summon a hero immediately when you get these points, because you can summon 2 heroes per day yourself. So you don't want to cap out. You have to get to 100 to summon a hero, and then you cap out. So you'll be taken to this screen. You can actually get to this screen at any point without being prompted by clicking on this ash coordinates and going to analyze. Then when you go into here, this is your bosses that you've had, and you go info analysis. I can summon a level 6 hero here, and this goes up as you progress throughout the game. These daily attempts only apply to what are called co-op sections, or supported. Amount of times you can support other heroes. You can actually summon 2 for yourself, and you can then go poach 3 more from the other people for a total of 5 hero battles per day. Also, any points of ash coordinates that you store up throughout the day will be eliminated at the end of the day, so make sure you spend them and do your attempts. And you cannot go over 300 per day, and you can't summon that 3rd hero. So we're going to summon this hero, and if you're in a guild, you should request support. You can request support from a friend, a guild, or the world. I recommend getting into a guild and asking support from your guild. And we'll go over guild a little bit later in this video, but you should enter a guild and you should do that. But for this one, we're just going to do by ourselves just to show you guys. So one of the things you can do is build your fleet based on any types of ships that are available out of all the ships you have available. So if you're early on, it's only 2. If you're later on, it's 4. But you can't actually just build ships out of anything. So if I wanted to swap out a Magi here, I can actually only swap her for ships that are used in my fleets. So that's another reason why that fourth, what I want to call garbage fleet or support fleet, should also have any miscellaneous characters you might want to use in your hero raids. One example would be maybe a Jeanne d'Arc, who you might want to use during all of the missions because she's good against sirens, but you also definitely want to use her during the hero raids. So once you pick your fleet, and by the way, you don't have to use the same fleets you actually built to go into Operation Siren. You only have to use a combination of all of them. Remember, being in Operation Siren, your fleets are not available to do other stuff. They cannot be put into your commissions. This is actually a real pain, and another reason why I recommend that players use their highest 120 ships, because those ships are typically not what you're leveling in the main story. Okay, so we're all set for our hero battle here, and well, I guess you guys will get to see how hard she is here. So as you can see, not very difficult if you have a meta fleet to clear hero. Even at level 6, she's not that difficult, but your timer is actually pretty short, so keep that in mind for trying to clear quickly. So we have one of our attempts already. We'll have to go get a second one, but while I'm here, we'll show you the daily attempts. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to click boss list. This will bring out every section of hero boss that has been requested for help, and it will tell you their level down here. You can actually sort and toggle on the friends or the guilds that have their stuff. So basically what I recommend is these will go away very quickly. They come in and out almost as soon as they go because so many people are summoning them and so many people are claiming them. So basically you're just gonna, yeah, you will see this coordinates have expired so many times if you try to do this. So you just have to keep going until you get in. You will eventually, hopefully, get in. Sometimes it takes forever. You basically just have to spam. There we go, we got in, and now we're in, so we can actually do the hero raid. There's nothing different about this hero raid other than the level could be much higher or lower than what you particularly summon for your account because you're asking for help. But hopefully with your guildmates, they will have what is higher level heroes, and you'll have higher level heroes, so you only get the higher level heroes, which give you more of heroes special currency. So this is heroes special currency, the synchronized cores here. And once you get done with them, you can actually go to your data sync here, and when you click on data sync, it will take you to hero. You can see I'm a little bit closer to finishing hero, not that much different than when I started the video, but once you get to certain sections, you will get different rewards, which you can preview here. And I'm just trying to move myself up until I get my first hero. All right, so you guys can see that now I'm at 33.6% done with heroes, so I'm chugging along on that. Something that a lot of people don't know is how to fleet formation here. So if you go into any port, you can actually click on, once you're in the port in the yellow, you can click on the order and then fleet deployment, and this will allow you to swap up any of your fleets or cats. And so if you want to swap up some of your stuff, they will come in full healed basically, so that's kind of nice. But I don't really want to swap anything right now. I want to save my free swap for now. This will cost a ton of action points later, so make sure you use basically your daily free one wisely. Axe's ports will not have as many of the bonuses. They will just basically have these exchange shops that are mostly sold out. And so these ports for the axes are significantly less important for you to gain than the allies. So the blue ports that you see here in Gibraltar, or like all the blue ports basically, are the ones that you want to get to first, and then if you have time, you'll eventually get to the red ports and whatnot. All right, so we entered a Siren battle. You can already see how many boss nodes we have fighting here. All right, guys, so once you get to the final stage, you can, for 100 points, this is the highest that you can do, you can enter a Siren Strong node. So this is basically how many Siren bosses you have to beat, which is 5. You can kind of see them in a map. We will do a Recon request, and of course, because subs are free, we can also do a sub request. So now we have our subs, we have our Recon, and now we also probably should get that cap. But this is what a Siren Stronghold looks like, and basically it is a pain. We have 5 Siren nodes remaining here, and we need to get this down to control so that we control it instead of the Sirens. And this map obviously is massive. So every once in a while you'll have this little maze thing pop up. It's a teleport, and it will teleport you to what I call the puzzle section of this game. It'll ask you if you want to leave, just in case you accidentally went there, and you typically do want to leave, and so we're going to leave. Alright, I spent over 2 hours looking for a portal to a puzzle, and I don't know if there are any of those after the main story is complete. To be honest, there were tons of them throughout the main story, and if you want to know what they look like, I ran into a bunch of them on my 8-hour live stream when the servers opened up. I, for the life of me, could not find one. That doesn't mean there isn't any in the post story where you're in true open world section here, but I couldn't find one for footage. But the only thing I wanted to show you is these puzzles are pretty tricky. They have some fun little niches to figuring them out, and I enjoy them. But if you're having trouble with them, a little bit of a side note, or if you're just trying to speed rush through it, you can just click left right actions on your fleet over and over again, and after a certain amount of actions, TB will come up and be like, you're taking too long, do you need help? And if you click yes, the boss will just spawn and you don't have to solve the puzzle. So if you're really struggling, just keep bashing left and right on your puzzle. And this is actually one of the new updates they think they brought from the beta server. Was, I think people complained about the puzzles being too difficult or too hard to progress through. So if you're too smooth-brained and you can't figure out the puzzle because it's 5 in the morning, then you can just do that. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that helps you guys cover Operation Siren and actually get into playing this great new game mode. I've been loving it so far, but you know, some of the user interface is brand new, not necessarily 100% intuitive, so hopefully that clears some things out here. It looks daunting, it is somewhat of a grind, but it is pretty good. And once again, I probably missed a bunch of things. I'm just like free recording this so that I can get this video out fast before the holidays.